It's supposed to be written here. So, oh, Yeah. The host has highlighted your video for everyone. Would you like to one?
Hi, good morning, everyone. How are we today?
Morning.
Good morning. Very well, thank you.
Okay, we're going to give a moment for some people to join.
Good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello. Hello. Good morning. Can everyone hear me? Good morning.
We can.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mara.
Good afternoon from my end of the board.
And we are live. Hello, good morning, everyone. Can we all unmute our mics for a second? Just to share greetings. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Day.
Good
Good
afternoon.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Wow. I see you all.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. And
Somebody
happy
is saying good
New Year to
afternoon. Do
you
you live
all.
in China?
No, I'm in Doha, Qatar.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Amazing. So you're all officially welcome to Intentionality Event Series 4, which happens also to be our anniversary series. We started this journey about a year ago. If you don't know who the convener is, I'd like to formally introduce you to Mrs. Mary Akpobome, the founder of the Intentionality Series Event. And without further ado, I'd like her to say hello to everyone here so we can get right into it.
So hello again, everyone. Thank you so much for joining, for taking time out of your Saturday morning. We know how it is. And afternoon, obviously, to the person in Doha, thank you again so much for joining. Happy New Year. Even though it's the last Saturday in the month of January, we still say Happy New Year. So Happy New Year to everyone. It is, we're all thankful, very grateful to God that we're here. Many didn't, as we all know. So we're all very thankful to God. Like Justina has said, I formally welcome you to the 4th of this Intentionality series. It's our anniversary because we started same time last year. Again, it was in the midst of just looking around the pain, the sorrow, the uncertainty around us at the time, literally around the world. And we just thought, you know what, there is no better time than to encourage everyone and let them know that to be able to go through all of this, to be able to come out on the other side, we all have to step back, look inwards, and again, think through what our purpose really is. And the moment you are able to do that, then you know that to be able to attain that purpose in a very turbulent world, we're all not out of it, we all know that, but to be able to keep going, all right, and staying on amidst whatever challenges, that we needed to live our lives intentionally, deliberately, in every way, deliberately in all things that we do. This time around, it's our 4th outing, like I said, and we're going to be speaking on the theme, turning bad days around. So we have 2 people who inspire me personally. And I know that a number of us on the call also do have stories of resilience that we could possibly share. So towards the end, we'll allow a couple of people also share 1 or 2 things for a minute or 2 that real stories of resilience, real stories. That way we can derive the lessons that we need amidst the challenges that they have gone through. So it's the first time that we're having guest speakers on our show, and at some point we're going to welcome them. Why this initiative? Why this theme? It's just again sitting back and realizing once again that we're all here for a reason and for a season. What is your reason? And where are your seasons in that reason? We're taught, for those of us that are Christians, we're taught to number our days, knowing without a doubt, everybody knows without a doubt, that our time here on earth is limited. Really, if you're here to 100, 120, your time on earth is limited, no matter how long you are here for. So what is that reason? And what is the season for each of your reason, right? We're also taught that those things that we want to do, that we need to do, that determine our reason, a time cometh when there are some things that you can do no more. Couple of years ago, when my knees started creaking, I was like, okay, it's time to start coming down from the 6 inches to the 5 inches and to the 4 inches, because the season has come when I can no longer get on the 6 inches. So are we deliberate? Are we intentional around our reasons and our seasons? Everyone on this call right now, I don't know who's going to live another 100 years, except you have your little baby beside you. But if you are deliberately on this call, then you are not here for another 100 years. So we cannot afford to live our lives without purpose. There has to be a reason, there has to be a purpose, and there therefore has to be a method to living that life of purpose. It is called living intentionally. Irrespective of everything that is around you, that is trying to derail you, because those curveballs, they're going to happen. There is no straight line in life. So you have a purpose, you have a focus, you have whatever it is that your purpose is. You keep going. Life throws all sorts along the way. Yeah, we call it, some call it curveballs, some call it challenges, whatever it is that we call it, but it does come at some point in our lives. Do we drop our hands and say, you know what, I'm done here? Or do we keep going? What is it that keeps you going? Note, nobody that has found purpose did that by accident. And even if you did by accident, even if along the way you just had that aha moment and it does become some sort of an accident, at the point when you get to the point of execution, it is no longer an accident. It is that you have taken that aha moment. It is that you have taken that thing that has dropped into you. It is that you have found that purpose and suddenly it's time to sit down and work towards executing that purpose deliberately. The last 3 outings, just as a quick recap. First, like I said, we started this, our first anniversary, January 2021. I've seen a number of people on the call that have been from the first, the second, the third, and you're here with me again. And I can only say thank you so much. At that point, we're coming out of the shocking events of 2022. COVID, lockdown, our livelihood, our mental well-being, literally everything was at risk in 2020. Unfortunately, I don't know if there's anyone who didn't know somebody that knew somebody, if it is even not a close relation, that lost somebody in 2020. But we made it into 2021, and it was time to look back into the lessons from 2020, knowing that, or assuming that, what if 2020 repeats itself? Today it is called COVID. We don't know what it's going to be called tomorrow. We hear of different strains. There are all sorts of names that these different strains are being called now. But what if it is a totally different thing tomorrow, in the next years to come. What will it be? How will we navigate those times? So it was important that in 2021, we looked at the lessons learned from 2020, and from the feedback that we have received, that session really did inspire people to look into 2021 and beyond with such positivity. In our second outing in 2021, we then took stock of the year, what we had done thus far, and practical steps that we needed to go through to be able to align what our vision was. Again, we got very good feedback from there. Thus far, one of our sessions that we really got a most resounding and thought-provoking feedback was our third outing, which we looked at building lasting legacies. It was the sort of feedback that we got was just simply mind-blowing. There were people who hadn't quite thought about, building lasting legacies. We looked around our community. Our community is Nigeria. And we looked around and we're wondering, where are the legacies that people have built? Where are the family businesses? Where are the names we used to hear in the past that built big companies, big corporates? And today, those corporates are nowhere to be found. Okay, where are those legacies? Who took them on? What did our children? What did the children do? What have the grandchildren done? And a number of people had called in and said, you know what, this is just an aha moment for them, and they were going to go back and be deliberate about building lasting legacies. Those three events that we had last year was nothing short of awesome. And again, like I said, I want to thank everybody that had joined in those three events. And today we're here. So, season 4. We are surrounded by people, ideologies, businesses that we consider successful. All of us aspire to be like somebody. I'm not sure there's anybody that aspires to be like somebody who isn't successful. If you are, then, and you are on this call, please just sign out. I'm certain that there's nobody that aspires to be anything but successful. And we usually then look back and say, who in this industry has been successful? Who can I model after? Who can I seek out as a mentor? Who can I seek out as a role model? Most times, again, like I said, we look within our sector. If you've been successful in banking, then I want to be a successful banker. Let me come speak with this person and try to learn one or two things from this person. Conversely, I believe that everyone here knows that there are times when people are really on the low and sometimes fear that low is their fate. Why is that so? It's because we don't have people talk enough about their challenges. We don't have people talk enough about their journey through their challenges to be able to come out on top. We don't have people talk enough about it. A number of times at best you see people gloss over those discussions. They may even talk about it, but not in a deliberate way. They can talk about it in stories. They may just talk about it in gatherings with their friends. But we want people to be able to deliberately speak about their journey through the valley, through the walls of the valley, and how they came out on top. Of course, yeah, we understand that there are certain things that you need to keep back, especially if it's going to impact on certain proprietary rights and things like that. But enough to be able to inspire somebody not to give up. In the world today, there are so many people, trust me, even around you, that are tempted to give up. We don't want people to give up. You don't want people in your community to give up. We don't want people in your church environment, in whatever community you operate in, okay, to give up, especially if you have a story that you can tell, okay, because we know the power of storytelling. If you have a story that you can tell, and you know that it is going to lift somebody up, we don't want people to give up. So we usually hear phrases like, I am her and she is me, because you can identify with the person. You can identify with that person's pain or that person's gains. You can identify with it. So we as humans, we sometimes are able to recognize and identify with these realities and experiences that mirror ours. So like I said earlier, entrepreneurs want to connect with entrepreneurs, fathers want to connect with fathers, so that together we have some sort of unifying experiences in our community. That is why we want a community of like-minded people who can encourage other people, who can be out there telling other people, listen, I went through this. I even went through worse, okay? Your valley is literally halfway mine. I was at the bottom. Not only was I at the bottom, I was there much longer than you have been. And therefore you can do it. If I could do it, you can do it. So as far as this identity goes within the context of tough days, most people feel alone. I was watching a video on Instagram where a lady, it was a Caucasian community, and a lady threw out a question and said, in your time of need, or in the time when you want to speak with somebody, who do you go to? My heart broke when I watched people's responses. And literally 90 to 98% of the people that sent in feedback said, upon a little reflection, you could see them on their faces, you could see a bit of reflection. And they all said, nobody, which comes into the issue of trust. Who can I trust to go to with my pain and be sure that not only does this person have my back, but this person even does have a solution? And for us, coming up with the theme for today, that is largely because it's not that there are no people in that community that have gone through that person's pain at the time. It is because that person doesn't know who to go to that has gone through that pain and has come out on top and is willing to share and is also able to protect my story, my pain, my identity, and all of that. So again, most people don't have references of people who are on the low that they can go to. So we typically don't share deliberately. Yes, we do share, without sharing. Okay, we do share without deliberately seeking out to share in our amongst our friendship groups and all of that. But on this mission, on this series 4 of our outing, our call is for everyone to deliberately, intentionally share. Those who are going to be afraid because it's going to make them vulnerable, be vulnerable anyway. If you believe, if you truly know that your vulnerability is going to take somebody out of a hole, you should do it. There are those who are going to be afraid, thinking that they are blowing their trumpet, that they're being proud, that they're being this and that. Listen, we're done worrying about what people think about us. I think we're done worrying about that, okay? To the extent that your intention is around lifting somebody else up, please ignore the negative noise around you. There are people who have gone through such challenging situations, and when they get round to telling somebody else, I'm sure you've had situations where somebody tells you something that they're going through and you are like, oh, why didn't you tell me earlier? I know somebody that you can speak with that can support you on that journey. Oh, why didn't you tell me earlier? I have been through that journey and this is what I did. My question to you was, why do you have to wait for somebody to have to come to you to say, I'm going through this pain, for you to have been able, if only you had shared, maybe the person would never have gone to the depth that they went into before reaching out. So along the lines of sharing, we just came up with a few areas that we believe that each person should be able to touch on in that spirit of sharing. Not just, I was low, now I'm high. Okay, what happened within that space? What was your transformation? How did that transformation happen? In as much detail as possible. When was your aha moment? When did you know that, this is it? And this is the how I'm going to go forward to be able to get back on my mountain. What did you do? What were those highs? What were those lows? What values did you imbibe? What were those things that kept you awake? But in the morning, even if it keeps you awake at night, in the morning, you are waking up and you are ready to go, and you are optimistic, and your drive is out there. You are smiling in spite of, okay, and you're moving. All right. What role did your community play? And if you are in a community that isn't inspiring, whatever community, it's time to leave that community. There is no time. Like I said earlier, even if you live to be 120 years old, trust me, it's a short time. Okay. Whatever community, be it religious, be it friendship, be it old school, new school, whatever communities, if it is not inspiring you on your journey, leave it, no matter how hard it is. So today we're saying, whatever your down low has been, you are not alone. It is on that note that I would like you to meet our guests. We have two guests. Like I said, it's our first outing where we have guest speakers. So you are not only going to be listening to me. I met Tewa a few years ago, and indeed I was one of those people that one day I sat with Tewa and said, why are you still doing it? Okay, I won't give you her answer. She's here to speak for herself, to tell us why she's still doing it, when she really could have given up and nobody would have blamed her for giving up. Tewa is an entrepreneur and philanthropist. She's a publisher, an author, and a mindset stylist. She's the founder of Exquisite Magazine, a fashion and lifestyle magazine for the unlimited woman. She's passionate about empowering, inspiring, and motivating people to be the best versions of themselves. And she's the brain behind the Eloy Awards and Conference, which is a platform that she uses to recognize and empower Nigerian women, showcase their achievements and role in society. And so, could we all just very possibly just welcome Tewa Onasaya?
Great morning. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited and beyond happy to be here. And thank you so much, Mommy Mary, for this platform. I call you Auntie Mary because I want to be different. Everybody calls you Mommy Mary, and I want to be different because I am different and unique. So I call you Auntie Mary. So thank you very much for having me on this beautiful, beautiful platform. I listened to the beginning of how the journey of Intentionality Series started, and I was thinking to myself that this is right up my street. Being intentional about every single thing I do has been my life, so to speak. So for the past, how many years is it? Since 2011, 2012, thereabouts. And all of this came about by, first of all, Happy New Year to everyone. I'm just diving straight in. Happy New Year, everybody. And even though we're at the end of January, I believe that this year will be our best year yet by the grace of God. So as introduced, I am Tewa Onosonya, and I am an entrepreneur and a mindset stylist. As an entrepreneur, my bio says it there. I'm the founder of Exquisite Magazine, the Eloy Awards Foundation, the EMAC Foundation for Cervical Cancer Prevention. I'm an author as well. I have written 4 books so far. One of them is The Popular Rule Your Mind, How to Style Your Mind to Live the Life That You Desire Intentionally. And being a mindset stylist is essentially a mindset coach. And when I meet people and I say to them, and I'm an entrepreneur and a mindset stylist, they're always like, oh, who's a mindset stylist? What's a mindset stylist? And I love that because it's a great conversation starter for me. So when people say, what's a mindset stylist? So I tell you that essentially, as a mindset stylist, I want you to understand the fact that just like you pick and choose your clothes in the morning, your makeup, for men, your tie, your wristwatches, your shoes, to match your look, to now look good on the outside. I want you to imbibe it in your mind that for you to feel good, you need to pick and choose your thoughts and your words. So that's how the mindset styling comes about. So you pick and choose your thoughts and your words. You intentionally do this so you feel good, because when you're feeling good, that's where you're at your optimum level to attract whatever it is you want to attract in your life. So my transformational journey, like I said earlier, started in about, I think, 2012, when I discovered that really and truly God has given every one of us the power to live the life we truly desire. And the only thing stopping us from getting to that point is our belief system. Do you believe in yourself? Do you have that faith that God thinks you have, or God entrusted in you to be able to do the vision that he has put in your heart? So I discovered this in 2012. And this is not that I didn't believe in myself before, because I've been in business for, it's going to be 19 years in September. I started Exquisite Magazine in 2003 with no formal knowledge of business or running a magazine. All I had going was the fact that I was passionate about writing and I wanted to inspire women of color. I started it when I was in England. And at that time, there weren't that many magazines for women. And I started the magazine thinking, you know what, instead of complaining about something, do something about it, take action over it. That's how Exquisite Magazine started. And I strongly believed in myself. So from the beginning, I've been blessed to have been raised to always believe in myself. I think it's because we're all girls, and our parents just made us think that we could do anything that we wanted to do. It was when I started mixing with more people outside, outside my normal zone, that I realized that people were segregated, that, girls couldn't do this and boys couldn't do that. I didn't know that I thought we could do anyway. I mean, when I was younger, I used to play football and play 10-10 as well, and the different things. So I didn't know that. So I've always believed in myself, and that had me going. But in the middle of believing in myself, the fear still comes, the being unsure of yourself. You've never done this before. You're a pharmacologist. What are you doing in this kind of space, in this circle? And then eventually I decided to move the magazine to Nigeria, and the fear even went up, another notch, because I'm in a new terrain that I haven't been fully exposed to in my adult life. And they do things differently in Nigeria. And then I felt like, oh my God, can I really survive here? But one thing that I always had going for me was the fact that I strongly believed in myself. Now, people will say, yeah, I believe in myself. Yeah, I did it. But I feel like a lot of people do believe in themselves, but they believe in themselves from a point of lack, from a point of fear. And that fear stops them from moving forward. I hope I'm not talking too fast, because when I get into it, I get into it. I hope I'm good. I hope I'm going at the right tempo. So people have that fear behind them, and then they stop and they give up. But one thing about me, which I'm very, very proud to say, and I'm very, very blessed, I don't take it for granted, is the fact that I always feel that I can't give up, especially from when my transformational journey started. And I now understood that really and truly, we all have everything we need embedded in us. Now it's up to us to discover that gold, that diamond that has been embedded in us, for us to be able to now transform ourselves, to live the life we want, be it in our careers, in our business, in our personal relationships, all those things. This is not to say I'm perfect, because we are humans, and a new mountain will require you to have become another version of you for you to be able to surmount that mountain. But everything works together. Every single thing works together. I had this, belief in myself that I could do whatever it is I wanted to do. So I went into the business terrain in Nigeria with all the ups and downs, and eventually we decided, I saw that there was a gap in the cervical cancer awareness space. We decided to do that. And then eventually the following year in 2010, we saw that a lot of men were more appreciated than women. And I felt, okay, women are doing exceptionally well in different fields. Women should be appreciated as well. They should be celebrated as well. We need to be able to put ourselves out there and empower other women as well. So I started the Eloy Awards in 2010, and every single part of my journey, from the Exquisite magazine to the IMAG to Eloy to what I do, the Mindset Challenge, everyone is always asking me, why are you doing this? Especially when, it comes to a point where you're raising funds, you're, looking for advertisers, you need funds to be able to make things happen. I mean, yes, I was a pharmacologist. I had a good job. I had a good savings when I started the magazine, but eventually I needed to face reality of money needs to come in for you to be able to make this impact that you want to make. And I'm very, very passionate about that. So people always say to me, why do you do this? Why do you spend your money? And then at the end of the day, even when you get, the money, you don't have any to say, okay, we've saved something, we've made a profit. And I'm like, the vision is bigger than me. And me realizing the vision is bigger than me is because I gotten to a point where I know that every single thing that I have thought about is from God. And God's words does not return to him void. So when Mommy Mary asked me, and other people, why are you doing this? What is the point of all of this? I always say, my reply is always that this vision is bigger than me. And I see the future of it. I see that, the impact it's making, and it's going to make in other people's lives. And I can't give up because of money. I felt like, using the reason because of money is so like, but there are resources out there. But the thing is, because we're always focusing on the problem, we don't necessarily see the solution. We're always focused on the problem, and we're not seeing beyond the problem. And the funny thing is, when a problem presents itself, a solution simultaneously presents itself as well. We just have to decide to say, okay, you know what? I see a problem. Let's start thinking of a solution. We're always so focused on the problem, and then the solution begins to dissipate. The solution begins to go away. I'm going to cite an example of one of the challenges I had, which I believe is a good example of resilience. In 2017, I would never forget this. The Eloy Awards the Eloy Awards always hold on the last Sunday of the year, or Saturday or Sunday of the year. So this particular year, we didn't have sponsors. And this is not to say that, we didn't have a good product. We didn't have, the people, the Eloy Awards is the biggest award ceremony for women in Nigeria. I mean, I have to say that. We had the following. Everybody was excited to host to be at the Eloy Awards. But a day before the Eloy Awards, we still hadn't paid for our venue. I went speaking to different people, trying to get the sponsorship going and things like that. Someone even said to me, Shebi, you love celebrating women. Go and sell your car. Show you're that passionate. Go and sell your car. And I looked at this lady. I'm like, wow, really? You would tell, and even if it's okay, let's see how we can do. Let's leverage our networks. You didn't say that. You said to me to go and sell my car. Anyway, one thing about me is once I make a decision about something, I go for it. Come rain or sunshine, especially when I have spoken to people about it. So the option of canceling the Eloy Awards didn't even occur to me, because I'm like, no, I have spoken about it. I have to do it. So we got to the venue the day before the Eloy on the Saturday, 2017. And the venue, big hotel in Lagos, said that we know you've hosted the Eloys here before, but you can't get into the premises unless you make the full payment. So usually they would let us do the awards and then later on we'll make a payment. But on this day, management had changed. They said you couldn't go in because you have to make the payment. I'm like, but we've done this before, started giving all that speech. And they insisted that we needed to make a payment. Not even half, not quarter, full payment. Oh my God, millions of naira. And the people that were meant to set up the space for the event the following day, everybody was there, but we couldn't get in. I spoke to the manager, I spoke to the head of marketing, spoke to everyone. They're like, we understand what you're going through, but you cannot go into this, venue. You can't do that. I started calling people. And somebody said to me, Tewa, start calling a press conference to cancel the Eloy Awards. I was like, what? Really? You know what I did? I went into the bathroom of this hotel in Victoria Island. I laid some pieces of tissue paper on the floor. I knelt down and I started crying. I was like, oh my God. God, hold on a minute. You want me to call a press conference to say that the Eloys that is happening tomorrow is being canceled? I cannot do that. Your words doesn't return to you void. You said that whatever vision I have on my heart is your word for me, and it doesn't return to you void. You said that you will show off through me. You better come up with something, because I am not canceling this event. I cried and cried, and then I just like, okay, you know what? I collected myself, put myself together, went back to the lobby of the hotel, and I just sat there and I'm like, hey, God have mercy, what's gonna happen? I decided I wasn't going to leave the venue, because if I left, I wasn't sure what was gonna happen. So I sat there, I sat at the lobby and I was thinking, God have mercy, what's gonna happen? In fact, as I'm talking about it now, my heart is pounding because you would not believe the transformation that happened on that day. And that just shows that if you have faith and you put fear to one side and you say, you know what, I am not taking no for an answer, you will get what you want. You will get what you want. And I am a testament to that, not on this occasion only, but on different occasions as well. As I sat in that lobby, one of my staff came to me and was like, Ma, what are we going to do? They said we can't go. And I'm like, just give me a minute, just hold on. So I sat in that corner. And guess what? I was calming my mind. I was relaxing my mind because I wanted to hear the next action. I was coming. There are situations where you would get into, and the last thing on your mind will be to relax. But let me tell you something, relaxation is the only way to get the next idea, because tension will only make you even more tense and more stressed. And then you're going to be taking action from a point of lack, from a point of fear. So I was calming myself, speaking to myself. People that know me know that I'm an affirmation junkie. I'm always speaking to myself, speaking life into my life. So I was calming myself down, saying, Tewa, relax. You're the best at what you do. You have done harder things before. And in the middle of that, calming myself with my staff looking at me like I've gone crazy, I got a phone call that the sponsorship you asked for, we can't do everything, but we can do something. And this event is tomorrow, and I'm thinking, why are these people calling me today? So I was so excited, but I was like, okay, so how are we still going to move past this event? Because the sponsor, they're not going to come and give me the cash on a Saturday or the check on a Saturday. The next idea that popped to my head was, use your credit card. For the life of me, for like 2-3 hours or even 4 hours, we had been at the hotel. I did not think of the idea of my credit card. And I'm like, oh my God, that's true. So I converted the Naira to pounds to know how much. I was just like, I have it. So I still didn't want to leave the hotel. So I called my sister to come to the hotel, to come and meet me, to get the keys to my bedroom, to now go to my house, because I thought to myself, if I left this hotel today, something might change. So I didn't leave. And we got the credit card. And even when they were putting the card in the machine, my heart was pounding like, is there enough? Is there not enough? And the funny thing is, they hadn't even asked for my PIN yet. That's how the devil tries to mess with you. You know, they hadn't even asked for my opinion. So we paid with the credit card. And the following day, we had the most beautiful event ever. The hall was packed. All the winners were crying on stage. Some of them said that they wanted to give up and then they got a nomination. One of them said she actually wanted to commit suicide because she felt like she wasn't being seen, she wasn't being heard. What is the point of living? And then someone called her and said, "You've been nominated for the Aloy Awards." And that gave her hope.
Wow,
All these
Auntie
people were
Tewa.
coming on stage and telling this story. And then I got on stage and I just had to cry. I was just like, you know, oh my God, like we would have canceled this event and then these people would have been, and then I was even crying even more because I had said to myself that maybe this would be the last Aloy. And then I got on stage, saw all these people, heard all these stories, and I'm like, God, why are you making me do this? Why are you making me do this? Why are you showing, why are you letting these people speak like this? That means I have to continue. So the thing
Wow, Auntie Tewa, sorry, I have to cut you, not short, but I have to just come in a little bit. Your story is so inspiring, and you're very passionate, It's amazing what people and businesses go through behind the curtains. We just see all the, in your case, the red carpet, the lovely dresses, the awards we presented, but then there's all of this operation around it and behind the scene, seemingly, stops. Like there is no way, like you're literally hitting your back against the wall. We would like to ask you a few questions as we wrap your session. So what are the key elements, right, that anybody who is listening to you and is going through a hard time, right? What are the key elements from your journey that you can extract to empower them through difficult days and eventually making it out? And if you can give examples of those, I think that, we're totally blessed,
Right. The first thing I would say, the other thing I would say after believing in yourself is focus. And when I say focus, I'm not saying focus on different things and, focus on what is not important to you. Focus on the goal, on the result. Focus on the result that you want to achieve. Focus on that. That would now propel you to go after whatever it is you want. Focus on the result you want to get at the end of the day. When I do all my events, when I write my books, when I do any speaking, I always think of the end game. What do I want to achieve at the end of this? Because if you don't see it with your mind's eye, you can't become it in real life. You can't see it in your reality. So focus on exactly what you want and on the end game, exactly what you want as well. A lot of people are focused on different things, listening to what this person is saying, going there and not being together. You need to focus on exactly what you want, not thinking of what you want from a point of lack or from a point of fear, but from a point of, I am able to achieve this because God has embedded this on me. And I say God all the time because I'm a Christian, but I'm sure to the Muslims that are, from a quote of different things from the Bible, I'm sure to the Muslims that are here, something in the Quran also makes reference to all of this about the mindset. So that's what I would say. An example of this is, with that story I just told, I was just focused on the fact that we are going to have a great event regardless. And God's word doesn't return to him void. And my vision is God's word. So we have to make sure that we're focusing on exactly what we want. And don't be discouraged. Do not be discouraged because challenges will come, but they won't hit us unless we let them hit us. So see the challenges for what they are, accept the challenges for what they are, but then again, switch it and look for a solution. Rise like a phoenix, look for a solution. Because like I said earlier, when a problem presents itself, a solution comes as well. But we just have to faith everything and rise, which is my meaning of fear. Faith everything and rise, and you will see the result.
Thank you so much, Tewa. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for all that you've shared and the drive and passion, obviously, that you have brought this to bear. There's a word you used, which I love, I absolutely love, and I always would end when I'm speaking to people. And it is a single word that says regardless.
Mm.
Regardless. You need to stay on track regardless.
Regardless.
You need to take on that challenge regardless. You need to keep moving regardless. So yes, you can cry, you can, cover up, you can stay, on your bed under your duvet for 1 day, for 2 days, for 3 days, but eventually you have to come out regardless.
Yep.
Because the issues that sum up regardless ain't going away. They're not going away. So it then behoves on you to keep going regardless. Your definition of fear and then the place of affirmation. It really can't be overemphasized on this call. Thank you again, Tewa. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Let us meet our second guest. For participants, at some point when we're done with our second guest, towards when he's done, we will take questions. The speakers are on ground to take questions. If you have specific questions for each person. Chinedu Azodo is an entrepreneur, Ivy League, MIT, tech, ex-Goldman Sachs, ex-finance analyst at Barclays, ex this and ex that, and today he is President Max. We will not expatiate on this, but for the purpose of the singles amongst us, or the singles of those that are on the call, related, he is very single. We will not expound on that further. But why bring on Chinedu on this call? If you recall, a couple of years ago, there was a ban on motorbikes in the country, in Lagos. I don't know if it was around the country, but in Lagos, a couple of years ago. And Chinedu is playing in that space. He had to literally disappear, hibernate, and went off the radar. Chinedu is here because between that period and today, at the last quarter of last year, Chinedu raised in excess of $30 million in equity. Did Chinedu have a reason to give up? Chinedu had many reasons to give up. More reasons than people who have given up have given up. So on that note, here is Chinedu Azodo.
Good morning, everybody. It's an honor to be here. That was a very powerful introduction. Thank you very much, man. But yeah, it's an honor to be here. We wouldn't have been able to do what we did at Max without our team. So I'm very humble and fortunate to have the team and the people that I work with to help us do the things that we've done. And I'm very excited to share, to answer questions and share a bit more about our background, kind of what we've done and how we've navigated to where we are today. Thank you.
All right. Mrs. Akpobome will be asking you a few questions regarding your journey, so that participants can benefit from just the entire process. It's a massive success. Raising Series B over $30 million after what happened is mind-blowing. But success stories are often told from the wishy-washy, they're glossed over. I guess we want to hear the things that turned it around for your team, the virtues that you guys imbibed, what the practice is, how you were able to redirect your strategy and all of that. So I'll let Mrs. Akpobome run with the questions. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Justina. Chinedu, you kindly please raise your voice. We know that you're a gentleman, but please you kindly raise your voice a bit for the benefit of everyone. I could barely hear you myself. My first question would be, how did you take the news?
It was unexpected.
That there is a ban on your business, total ban. How did that go?
I mean, it was unexpected, right? we hadn't planned for it. I don't think anybody ever plans for that, right? It was a surprise, and when it first happened, a key thing, I think the first time I heard about it was from a journalist who was calling to ask for a reaction. I'm like, oh, it doesn't affect us. It has nothing to do with us. I guess we had that one, right? But I think one of the great things that came out from that is, as a business, we learned to be able to, at least, particular business people within the business have learned a lot about being able to step back off the floor and kind of hang back in the balcony and be able to look around and really see what is going on. Because I think for a few days we were focused on just to happen, fighting it and all that stuff. And I think a week later we had like an aha moment where we sat down and said, we can spend the next year or the next 2 years fighting this. We can spend the next year or the next 2 years fighting this, and may or may not succeed. Or we can look at what exactly do we then need to do and how do we move forward. So something we've developed, a skill set that we've developed as a business is having short-term memory, where you're able to look at not look at things that have happened and not focus on the bad that has happened, but instead be able to move on very quickly from those bad things into potential success. We've also learned to be able to move much quicker. Okay, we've also learned to be able to move much quicker, experiment very quickly, and get a sense for what success looks like. I think one of the biggest things we learned was so a lot of businesses don't test things out. They don't have an A/B type prototyping approach, right? An A/B testing approach where they kind of say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go very quickly, do it, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it must work sharp, right? What we've become really good at is going in with hypotheses and being able to test two different things at a time and say, I'm going to test, instead of going out and say, I'm going to finance 2,000 drivers or whatever, I want to see if financing works for drivers. So I'm going to have 50 drivers here, another 50 drivers here, and see which drivers are able to perform better, which drivers understand more what we're trying to do, and then which drivers, deliver what we define as success. So we learned a lot about, taking a step back, navigating difficult times, developing short-term memory, and being very intentional about forging a path and moving forward and not looking back. What's interesting today is that the business model that we're in today is fundamentally finance all the players now who operate in ride hailing. So car ride hailing, car ride hailing, tricycle ride hailing, logistics companies, everybody. We're financing drivers across all those platforms because we've essentially gone from a logistics and delivery company to becoming a company focused on financing the drivers who are commercial operators in these industries and giving them a path to own their own vehicles, right? We've done this for a while, and that's part of what the investors have seen and have come on board to kind of support us. But a lot of what needed to happen had to do with changing our mindsets from being focused on the things that we had lost, and instead saying, so what can we gain? How do we move forward, right? I guarantee you that if we were fighting the Lagos state government, we will still be fighting today, 2 years later, and will not have made any headway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chinedu. What was the place of your team? Because clearly from what you've said, you have a strong team. Okay, how were you able to galvanize them? Because one thing for you, the business owner who has this massive vision, it's one thing to be able to have that vision and to be able to communicate that vision all the way down, and everybody in the institution sort of is able to buy into that vision and stay on with you. So did you lose your key staff? Did they move on to other things? Or did they stay on because they believed in you? Because it's not just the vision, they believed in you.
Fantastic. So there are two of us who are co-founders and Max, right? So there's Ty Obamidoro and there's myself, Chinedu, right? And we have other execs now who have joined the business. But at the time when the ban happened, we had a CFO who had joined us, about 6 months or a year to the ban, right? We had the head of operations who we had grown internally from the business. We had a bunch of people who we had hired in December of 2019. Who obviously were worried and scared as to, so what does this mean for the business?
Absolutely.
I think part of the things we did very quickly was, once the ban was announced, we diversified. We're expanding to other cities. So we were in Akure, just before the ban was announced, we were in Akure and Kano. And after the ban was announced, we launched in Ibadan as well. Today we're in Oshobo, right? So that helped us, diversify some of our risk. In terms of our people, I think, we have some of, we have people that, we really, really value and respect, right? So we kept most of our people. And as an organization, part of what we learned was vulnerability is important in building trust with people. The people must actually understand that, businesses have a difficult time. And it's not businesses have a difficult time where the staff are having a difficult time and your guys are enjoying life, right? We did things around the business, around, helping people take cuts and stuff like that. I know that as founders, we took the largest cuts in the organization, right? To make sure that, because it was the ban and COVID, right? So we had to do things to make sure that we could retain people. We even restructured how the drivers work and how they pay to ensure that we could keep drivers working even longer. We went to some of the banks who were working with and said, hey, look, this is what the challenge is. We need a bit more time to kind of figure out how to structure this, right? And make it work. So we were very intentional about our communication. Strategy obviously had to change. So, strategy changing in startups is normal. One of the biggest challenges you have is people who are not built for startups. When strategy changes, they say, oh, but this is not what we said last month. Oh, this is not what we agreed to. And you start hearing all that kind of dissent, right? Which is challenging. So, we've also been very intentional about, as an organization, about how we recruit. We don't just hire the smartest person in the room all the time, right? We're hiring people who are much smarter than us, but people who are also very comfortable with, changing scenarios and are comfortable with, ambiguity, as it were. Right? So as you grow as a business, you have to go from what we call BASBOs, which is more, you're reacting to everything, to becoming more proactive, to becoming more planning focused. And I guess where we are as a business, we're very planning driven, but we still have to make strategic changes. But what was helpful to us is that we had a lot of people who were willing to kind of, who believed in the mission and vision of the business, right? And were willing to work with us to figure out what the next steps looked like. We retained most of our people through that entire process. We retained most of our people. We even added new people. And I know that one of the things we started doing was, you'd be interviewing someone who's, like a manager or even just below a manager, and you have a great conversation, and then they go home and they tell you that their wife said that is your kind of company they want to go and work for. You end up having to do things like take the entire husband and wife to lunch to kind of pitch the wife to on the vision of the company. Because if you hire a husband, you are hiring his wife, right? If you hire a wife, you are definitely hiring the husband, because you want the person who is the advocate in the family, advocating and whispering things into their ears, to be aligned with you in terms of what you're trying to do. So, we've done a lot of work around not just hiring people now, but hiring, helping their families buy into what we do. So we're hiring people who are managers and above in the business. We spend a lot of time, with the managers, try to talk to them, convince them, right? If they're super interested, we know that they have doubts. We will organize lunches, dinners, invite them to meet with founders, meet with executives in the business, and kind of help them understand what we're trying to do. So, but in terms of what we did, that period was a pretty tough period, but I think we have really amazing people who had faith in what we were trying to do as an organization. Also because, we spend so much time in, driving what the mission of the organization is, driving what the vision of the organization is, and building performance goals and targets and everything around the mission and the vision of the organization. So it was very, very helpful to us. And I believe that was the key reason why we retained most of our people. But yeah, it was exciting times. It still is exciting times.
Yeah. But when you set out to operate only in Lagos, right? At the beginning.
So at the beginning, we started in 2015 as a logistics company. So we actually launched in 2015 doing logistics, doing instant delivery in Lagos. Our tagline was max speed delivered, deliveries under 3 hours anywhere in Lagos, right? And it was very exciting. And at that time, we were hitting most deliveries in under 90 minutes. So we were trying to focus on underselling and on under promising and over delivering, which was a fantastic model that we took on, right? So we started out in 2015 with myself, Tyrell, and then we hired one driver, right? And by the end of the first week, we had hired 2 more drivers, so we were 3 drivers, and we had done a total of about 5 deliveries. It was very interesting times, right? Because we had all of us come back from everywhere to come and do this. And then by the end of the year, we were working with Jumia and helping Jumia run instant deliveries during November and December, which was very exciting. In 2016, we launched something called Max Eats to enable people to order food from restaurants and then us do the deliveries for the restaurants. And that really helped us learn a lot about operations, building drivers, scaling up our network, all that stuff. We shut it down at the end of 2016 because we realized that we just weren't at the place to be able to deliver the kind of quality that we wanted to deliver, right? So in 2017, we then launched Max Go, which effectively is Okada Uber, right? And then GoKada came in and they were doing so much with branding. And we're like, when it was only us doing branding, the way police used to pack all of us and lock us up and all that stuff, we felt that we couldn't do all that branding. But then GoKada launched. I was doing so much with branding, and I was like, oh my God. So we then started to say, okay, fine, let's go back and start doing branding, right? Then OPay launches, and it was, it was all out war. We were all battling to get the Lagos customer and all, right? So originally, we told the story of Pan-African domination, but in practice, our operational reality was more focused on Lagos. I think the advantage that we had was that at the time when some of this stuff happened in 2020 was we had already started expanding into other cities like Akure and Kano when the ban hit or COVID hit, that we were in a stronger position, similar to how OPA was, but most of the other players in the market, right? But we've made quite the transition, and it's very exciting to see where we are today.
Okay, great. Because I was just wondering if you went to Akure, Ibadan, and all those places when the Lagos ban took place. So obviously, it was always in line with your strategy.
Yes.
But you then sort of moved full speed ahead, so to speak, with the Lagos ban.
Yeah,
right?
so the Lagos ban to the product was really on our end a product decision, a bad product decision, right? So we've learned a lot that now we don't deploy vehicles in markets that we cannot deploy in other markets. Because if, for example, we had a certain kind of motorcycle in Lagos and the ban happened, we just moved motorcycles to Ibadan and continue like nothing happened, right? We've learned a lot more about how to be resilient in terms of our operations. We've also learned a lot more how to be more strategic from a government engagement standpoint. Right? So we have an entire government team that's made up of, we have a government lead and we have the founders on the team as well. We have a few execs who support that team, right? And that team is the advanced force for us in any market, right? Where you have a lot of tech companies take the approach of, hey, let me do, when government is ready, they will come for me, right? We don't want government to come for us. So any market we're going into, we go and meet the government and say, hello, Oga, this is what we're coming to do. Are you happy? Are you not happy? If you have a problem, we're not doing. If you're happy, we sign an agreement that says that you are happy and you will not harass us, right? So it's
like dealing with the challenges proactively.
Exactly. So we're advancing, doing this ourselves.
Yeah, I guess there's quite a bit of lessons there. So how flexible is your business? How easy is it? Assuming that you are on this call and you are in Port Harcourt and whatever business it is that you're doing, that environment, that community is not, or you're having a challenge. And if it is government, like Chinedu has said, you can't fight government and win. Just respect it. Just respect yourself. You can't fight.
We had so many people telling us to sue government, do this, do
For
that.
where?
No, hold on now. As an entrepreneur, you're very activist in nature. So yes, we'll sue government. We don't need to. They will scatter your business.
No, you will not have a business today, Chinedu.
Exactly.
That is when you will know that there is actually about 20,000 naira left from that tax that you did not pay. Your company needs to be folded up. You don't fight government. But the lesson there is how flexible is your business? Like you then learned that if I need to create these motorbikes, the bikes I'm going to bring in have to be able to operate in Lagos, in Kaduna, in Etinan, and all of that. And that flexibility is very important. What I also hear is you were then not fixated on the fact that it has to be Lagos. Because the people who are doing business, and if it is not that location, they just will not move. You have to be able to move. We have said, regardless of the government policy and all of that, you have to be able to move. I also took notes, Chinedu, when you said, when you hire the husband, you better take the wife out for lunch. Please, it's very important. So please, dear wives, ensure that that is the case, is the case here. But it is indeed true that in this community, when you hire one person, by even our cultural orientation, if your wife or husband isn't sold on what you do, you are going to have issues at home. You have issues at home, it impacts the job that you do. One maybe last or close to last question for Chinedu. How did you raise over $30 million? How did you do it?
Oh, it's the grace of God.
No. I want to know, please. By the way, for Okada business, let's qualify.
So that's the thing, right? What we're doing. So first of all, one thing we've learned is this: people don't give you money because of how great your business is. They give you
people
money.
Don't give money. We can barely hear you, Chinedu.
People don't give you money because of how great your business is. People give you money because they like the person that you are as an individual. Because they like you as a person. Right? So, because if you think about it, right, raising money from a lot of investors, you see nonsense companies raise money every day. But raising money from investors is, first of all, do you engage them in a way that they like you as a person? Because after that point, then they start to make a decision as to, is this opportunity a valid opportunity? You see, going into some of these conversations as I am the hottest thing in town and engaging people accordingly rubs them the wrong way. And the question a lot of these guys will say to themselves, because they're not just giving you money, they're investing. So when they give you money, they want to be able to say to themselves, can I reach out to you and work with you to solve a problem? Or are you someone I don't want to see? If you're someone that they don't want to engage, they're not interested. It doesn't matter how fantastic your business is, except you're Elon Musk, right? So if you're struggling, if you're somebody who's not personable, you're not able to, not personable, but you're not willing to potentially engage people and market your business to them, then it's okay to not go out and try to raise money. But if you want to raise money, you have to be very systematic about it. So part of what we've looked at is who are companies invested in this kind of business that we do in other parts of the world, right? When you find those funds, you're not also going to directly reach out to them. You want an introduction. You want a warm introduction, that's what we call it, where somebody will reach out to them, somebody who knows those parties, will reach out to them and speak like glowingly of you, right? You want to have like a forwardable email that essentially gives a quick, 5-line, 10-line summary of what your business does and what you hope to gain out of that conversation. You want to have a pitch deck that allows you to tell a story about your business. You see, less is more. People forget that the fact that you're building a business, that the average person doesn't know what your business actually does. We know what we want to know, and that's okay. So what you want to be able to tell people in the pitch deck is, what is the problem you're trying to solve in very simple ways that a 5-year-old can understand. How do you solve that problem? In, again, very simple ways a 5-year-old can understand. How big is the market opportunity? Because if I'm an investor who wants to give you money, I want 10, 20 times return on my money. Your market has to be big enough to take that money, even if you get only a small part of the market, right? How big is the market opportunity? And then who is the team building this stuff? Those are the 4 core things investors will typically look at if you're earlier stage. And as you go, obviously, look at the numbers and traction and stuff like that. But who is the team? So yes, for example, you've introduced me and said, oh, Ivy League, MIT. I also went to university in Futo. I also went to university in United. But I've looked at nobody cares. And I almost didn't go to MIT because I got admission on my mother's, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come out.
Sorry, you said you also went to university where?
I also went to Futo. in a way.
Excuse me, where is that, please?
I also went to Illinois Tech in Chicago.
Please, photo. So
No, but the point I'm making is the team is important, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at our team, Tyler is co-founder, is CEO, he's PwC, NLNG. He went to UI, but also went to MIT, right? So if you look at where he's worked, it's fantastic. If you look at where he's got to school, it's fantastic. I mean, it's packaging, right? But a lot of these investors are also looking for who can I relate to. So if you're an MIT, Sloan, yeah, what's up? It kind of helps solve some problems initially, breaks the ice.
Right.
Obviously, I have a similar background as well, more American than he, but then spend more time in America than in Nigeria, which allows us to give a good balance. Tyler is Yoruba and Igbo. So where we're going and speaking to an entrepreneur, an investor who leans one way or the other, engagement style slightly adjusts to manage that, right? There are candidates who want to hire that that you can tell from the interview they have affinity towards one person than the other. We go out, we leverage that affinity, and we bring them in, right? So you want to be able to build teams that help you achieve goals. You don't want to, and this might be unpopular. Investors don't like family-based teams. They don't like a husband and wife founding team. They don't like brother and sister founding team. In fact, some investors will announce that we do not invest in companies that are husband and wives, because working together creates a lot of stress that can lead to family and marital stress, which can lead to business scattering, and their money will blow. You don't want it, right? Similarly with siblings as well. So, what this also means, and the example I've just made, what I'm trying to point to is they want to see objective decision making, right? So how do you manage performance? How do you track performance? How do you measure traction? What are your goals? Are you hitting the goals that you say you are going to hit? So when you meet an investor earlier and you say, I want to be doing this in the next 3 months. A lot of times people think they don't realize, they don't notice these things, but they write it down. The next time you have another meeting with them is 3 months later. Oh, are you doing what you said you would be doing? You're not doing it. No, you're not trustworthy. Therefore, you're not reliable. Therefore, they cannot invest. And it's weird, simple things here and there that people draw up this analysis on. So when you go out to fundraise, it's heavily storytelling, right? Because some people call us an Okada business. Some people say it's not higher purchase you do. It's not this, it's not that. But when I tell the story, I tell you that the drivers, for example, on our platform, typically have only 2 forms of financing. They can go to the bank or they can go to unions. With the unions, they don't get access to ownership. With the banks will not finance them because they don't have collateral, right? So what we end up doing is we use technology to create an automatic credit score for the driver. Even though they don't have credit data, we use alternative data to create credit scores for the driver or a risk assessment score. And based on that decision, we can allow the driver come in the morning and leave in the afternoon with a brand new motorcycle from any of our location. And then we use technology to help them operate. If the vehicle gets lost, we have comprehensive insurance, we can cover the vehicle for them, we have safety, we can safety and vehicle tracking, we can do all those things. And if you are owing money, I can press button and shut down the vehicle. It will not work again, right? It means I'm protecting the investment we've made, but I'm also protecting the life of the driver. And for the investor, he can see how his money is entering and coming out, which is very critical. So you want to be able to tell a story that speaks to what is the problem we're solving in a very simple, clear way. What is the problem? Who is the customer? How do you solve the problem, right? How big is the market opportunity? How much traction or progress have you made so far, right? Who is the team? The team for American investors, the team is the most critical thing, right? Who is the team? Especially early on, because they usually don't invest in companies, they invest in teams, because where you start in 3 years' time and where you are usually very, very different business models. So they're looking for teams that are flexible, that are resilient, that are hungry, are experienced oftentimes, and can get things done, right? So fundraising, obviously, it's not a one-trick pony. It kind of varies for different people, right? You'll find people who are fantastic storytellers who go out there and people think they're liars. Some people are fantastic storytellers who go out there and say, this person just feels so honest. So you want to be able to taper how hard you're selling based on who you're speaking with. So you want to also, obviously, you also have to do your research. You have to know who the investor is, what the decision makers, how to make decisions, what kind of companies they invest in. There's a lot of homework that goes into preparing for any of these meetings. In fact, you can sell the exact same business to two different types of investors, and they will invest in you for completely different reasons. So, for example, we do electric motorcycles today. There are investors who invest in us because of the electric motorcycle. They don't care about the rest of the business. All they want is that because we're doing renewable transportation, they want to do that. We have investors who, whether we do electrical, whether we don't do electrical, just get the work done and deliver a solid business. So it comes down to storytelling and how you manage it.
Wow, Chinedu. So I have, just to wrap us up, because his time is almost out. There are people on this call who are business owners or who in their personal lives are going through a journey that seems to be the end. What are the 2 or 3 key things that you want to leave with them to empower them to be able to forge ahead and come out on the other side?
It's tough. Building a business is hard work. I hear people say things like, "Oh, I have my 9 to 5, but I don't want to work for anybody. I'm going to leave my 9 to 5 and do my business." My eyes are red. You work 16 hours, sometimes 20 hours a day, right? Some scenarios, 24 hours a day, if it comes to that. Working, like founding the business, running the business, building the business, there's a lot of responsibility. You're paying people's salary, you're dealing with like a lot of issues. You are focused, there's not so much pressure, you're trying to drive performance. And people will come and say, "Oh, this guy doesn't think about us, he doesn't care about us," right? Business is not for everyone. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. And it is okay for it to not be for you, right? I think what's very important for us is that we identify what it is that works for us and do those things that work for us, not leave or try to leave the ambition of someone else. Because you have 5 friends out of your friends group of 7 that are business people, you want to become a businessman. It's not for you. A lot of people are doing this business and living crazy lives and are not suffering any consequences as a result, having visible consequences. But for some other people, it's just, you can't hack it, right? Now, resilience is critical, right? You must be willing and able to do whatever is necessary to pursue your dream and your vision, as long as it is what it is for you. If that vision is for you, do what is necessary. Organize, plan, leverage your resources, talk to people. Nobody can be a bigger seller of your own business than you can be, right? You need a network of communities. You need a network of mentors. You need to build a strong team around yourself. Yes, you have the team who are your family members who are supporting you. You have the team who are, who have technical knowledge, you're going to advise. You have the team who are the people who are going to be in the streets with you and getting things done. And every team plays a different role. Recognizing that is super critical and being able to work with them together is also super critical, right? Communication is critical. One of the biggest challenges of building a business is Oga believes the business does A. And while an analyst in the same business thinks that they do something completely different. There's no alignment in mission and vision, right? So being able to determine and define clearly what the reason is, what is our why, right, for doing this is important not just for you, but for the rest of the organization, and it must be communicated. Now, there's a difference between alignment and agreement. Agreement is not a good thing. Agreement means I'm forcing my opinion down your throat.
Correct.
Climb and sinker. That's terrible. Alignment is more critical because alignment is what brings out motivation and inspiration from people. Alignment is, this is what the vision of this business is. This is why I connect to it. Why do you connect to it? Understanding that why do people connect to your vision is critical because it allows you to continue to sell your story to them, help them understand, stay in the loop, and grow as businesses. And of course, bad days will come, right? But it's not about how many times you fall, but how many times. So I hope with these few words of mine, I've been able to convince you or not convince you.
Yes, you have, Chinedu. Thank you. So thank you isn't just enough. Thank you so much, Chinedu. At this point, we'll allow a couple questions from participants. So if you could direct your question either to Tewa or to, so by a raise of hand, and then Justina will just unmute, and then we can know, you can then direct your question, like I said, either to Tewa or to Chinedu.
Okay, so if your name is not on your screen, I have no way of knowing who you are. So, make sure that you entered into this meeting with your name on the screen. So we'll go into the questions right away. I prefer to use the chat box so everyone can see the question.
Okay.
If you can quickly drop your questions, we'll read out the first 3 or 4 and get to it, but I see a couple of hands raised.
I see a question for Chinedu from our dear Mrs. B. Catherine Bickerstead. Chinedu, was it moving into the states? Chinedu?
I'm here.
He said, was it easy?
Was it easy moving into different states? She also says, Chinedu, you have a great HR team. Identifying and choosing right staff is difficult and critical. Did you outsource recruitment?
So that's a fantastic question. So was it easy moving to different states? Absolutely not. It was significantly challenging. Part of what has happened with moving into different states is we have a strategy for how do we launch in markets. Today, Tayo, myself, are typically the ones who launch us in new markets or drive a lot of the strategic and jump into a new market. Right now, we're launching in Ghana. We are driving that. In Cairo, in Egypt. I'm driving that. Tayo drove the launch in Ibadan. I drove the launch in Akure. So, we have founders drive that process. It's not easy, it's super challenging, but it's rewarding, right? Yes, we have a great HR team. We've got to a point where we've brought on solid people who really helped us. The reality as well is with things like HR and people, given how the organization has, given where the organization has been for the last couple of years, we've actively done.
Muka's children are traveling today. They're traveling tonight, but they're leaving.
Please mute your mics, please.
Oops.
Yes. So we've had in terms of with HR, of course we have solid people who've really driven our recruitment and helped us generate more leads and talent and all that stuff. But today, at least for the foreseeable future, the hiring still goes at the end of the day. We have to see people, right? So the different execs still interview people who join their team because it's very important for us to make sure that we continue to align with our mission, right? Because you get a critical mass of enough people who are fully aligned, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't get to that critical mass and you allow people to continue to just hire into the business, you will have a significant culture problem over time, where what will then happen is you build a team that is based off of the culture that the HR team likes versus what the organization is trying to drive, right? So it's a mix and match of both. The HR team have done a fantastic job of generating like leads, bringing people to the pipeline and all that. But at the end of the day, hiring still sits at our tables for the different teams that we lead, right? And we have a hiring rate today. I think we hire something like 7% of everybody that we see. So it's super. We're very, very intentional about who we bring up. We don't outsource HR. So what we've done around HR outsourcing is we've had an HR company come in and help us build performance management processes and tools, help us look at our recruitment process and make it more robust. But at the end of the day, we run that internally. We also have different partners for different programs. So on the technical side, for those of you who do like technical and recruitment, we work with a company called Decagon to bring in, intermediate software engineers and junior engineers as well into the workforce. We work with a company called Enzo on the more traditional HR stuff. We work with a company called Enzo, who are an HR consulting firm. In the past, they help us also look at management structure, recruit, and all that stuff. And then we have a bunch of other smaller companies here and there that we work with to get things done. Happy to take more questions.
Thank you. Any more questions? Justina, can you see hands?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the chat box now. Let's see questions. So I have a question for Hosea Mba, and he says, hello, Chinedu, I am actually excited to hear from you today. What were the proactive measures you took to manage, did you say last drivers?
Last month, what?
Oh, lazy drivers. Yeah, lazy drivers. So Chinedu, how do you manage underperforming drivers and riders?
You have a performance management module and people don't need to do that.
Fantastic. I have someone here, someone special. Mr. Dika says, Chinedu, amazing talk. How do you know you are a good fit to become an entrepreneur?
Well, I hear you, sir. I don't know that you know. I think it comes down to, I find that, okay, so for me, I believe that it's a calling, right, for me. And I don't think that everybody has a calling. I think it's a calling for me. I have the right skill sets to be able to kind of get off the ground and get to the next level. You need a certain, what we call internal drive at max. So we look for people who have an internal drive, because internal drive is what would literally allows you to just keep going. You need that internal drive, right? So we look for internal drive at max within our people, because that's for something we see that is super entrepreneurial. But you know, the people also have to be comfortable with managing. Like if you want to build like an organization, you have to be comfortable with ambiguity, right? So being comfortable with ambiguity means knowing that you don't know what the right answer is, and saying to hell with that and making a decision, right? So being able to make very quick decisions is something we've had to learn, right? And we think it's a skill set of an entrepreneur. And it doesn't mean that I make my decision and I stick with it. It's literally like decision overload. I make a decision today. In 2 days' time, I realized that decision was a bad decision. I immediately change the decision to what I think the right decision. So you're continually changing and changing and changing. Especially early on, it's a bit of a challenge to kind of get things off the ground. But I think, you know, being an entrepreneur is, some people have the natural skill set for it, while some other people go out and be able to develop what are the right kinds of skill sets, which is, you know, storytelling, which is easy to learn, internal drive, which I don't know can be taught, resilience. There's something that Google calls smart creatives. So smart creatives are people who have a keen eye for patterns that don't seem regular to other people. So you see smart creatives in product roles, you see them in business development roles, you see them in marketing roles, and they tend to make strong storytellers. Smart creatives tend to also be natural entrepreneurs, right? They're typically very artistic and also very strong in the sciences. So they are not usual. Google has a book they've written about smart creatives. If you have some time, you can take a look at it. But I don't know, like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you know, it is what it is. If you feel a calling to doing it and you are ready, then, you know, it's worth it, in my opinion.
Fantastic answer, Chinedu. I mean, it takes a lot of courage for a leader to take a decision yesterday and then come today to say, oh no, I got it wrong, I'm going to scrap that, let's do something else, right? So I think that is a point to note. If you're a leader, it's important to be able to take new decisions and own it, regardless of, you know, who might be watching.
There are a couple of points that Chinedu made that I just feel led to sort of just stretch a bit. 2 things on your network, and another point on how what it was that enabled you raise that gave your investors the confidence to raise that amount of money that you raised for the business that you did. And Chinedu said, people first don't invest in your business, they invest in you. That's a very powerful thing to take away. So when you go to pitch, who are you? The first thing that the person you're speaking with is thinking is, who is this person? Is this person somebody that I can trust to invest in? Yes, the business itself has to be great for somebody to invest in, okay? But if the business is great and the person that is, putting this together, we're not so sure, then you are going to have a problem. So back to this deliberateness, intentionality in living your life, so that before you get to the point of, before somebody invites you to even come and pitch to them, trust me, they have done a lot of work on you. What is it that will that they'll be faced with to even enable them have a conversation with you? That is one. Two, your network. So yes, Chinedu is ex-Futo, ex-Goldman Sachs, ex-Finance, ex-MIT, and all of that. Great. What network did Chinedu build that enabled him open certain doors? I'm certain, I haven't asked Chinedu, but I'm certain that his $30 million did not come from, if a part of it came from the country, from Nigeria, it would be a little part. Chinedu, am I wrong? No, I'm not. All right. So a lot of your exes came to bear.
Work exits.
When you went pitching, what is my point? Please, participants or anybody eventually that will listen in on this, where you can afford it, sign up to those programs that can make you ex-finance analyst, ex-Goldman Sachs, ex-MIT, ex-the London School of Economics, ex-Pan-Atlantic, Lagos Business School, ex this and ex that. Trust me, it helps. It thoroughly helps. I tell people that there's a platform, London Business School platform. There would be very few people or companies internationally that I need something from that I cannot reach. Because on that platform, oh my goodness, you will be amazed the people on that platform who are not just for them, not just directly, but they will tell you that, oh, Mary, my company doesn't do this, but I know a company in China that does. I know a company that in India that does. I know a company that sits out of California that does. So it is very important. Again, like I said, no pressure, but if you can afford it, and these days, some of these programs are actually inexpensive because they're now largely virtual. So you really can do, quite frankly, some of them are now free. If you get on Harvard, on, world, all of these international business schools, there are some programs that are, again, slightly inexpensive, some outrightly free, that you can sign up to, that you will build these networks that we're talking about. Yeah, I just needed to chip that in. Justin, over to you. Justin, you're muted, so if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Sorry about that. So I have a question here from Catherine. Catherine says, angel investors often mentor and coach guarantees. So please, let's be clear on our questions when we write them, because I don't know what Catherine is trying to make out of. But I see your
observation, not a question.
Okay. So Catherine also asked, how long did it take you to raise over 30 million USD?
We started fundraising in April last year.
Oh, that was quick. April last year.
Are you serious? $10 in less than 8 months.
Well done.
Well done.
So April to October, it closed around October, he said. It closed December, but okay. Fantastic. That's really impressive. Do we have another question? Let's see. Please, someone is asking how you can we mute our mics, please? We are muted because it's question time. Okay, someone is asking how they can get in touch with Chinedu or Tewa to ask questions. Please forward your questions to the email that sent you the invite, and they would send them over to them and they would respond. But you can catch them on all their social media handles as well. and I'm sure that they'll be able to interact with you. Said Chinedu, this is going to be our last question because of time. Do you have any advice on how family-led businesses can navigate raising funds?
I do actually. So family-led businesses. So I love family-led businesses because my parents have a business as well. You have to professionalize. One of the biggest challenges that family-led businesses have is they don't actually professionalize. The business is built around the family and therefore not building an organization, right? To be able to fund, you need to build an organization, have clarity, have governance. So put in corporate governance, what's the board, bring in operations. Also look at how decisions around performance management and core made in the business. It's very likely that a few family members may need to leave the business from an operational role and be more in an advisory or board or shareholder role, right? But family-led businesses, the biggest challenge I've seen with family-led businesses, they don't professionalize. We build around the family members, and if you think about a lot of like farms and like grocery stores and like restaurants and hotels and hospitals that are family-led, once the patron or the matron of the business dies, which happens as part of life, the business is just going to pack up within a short period after that, right?
All right.
So those family-led businesses are typically not investable because they don't professionalize, they don't institutionalize, they don't organize, they don't have strong operations, and they tend to not be objective in decision making, where you want to hire family members versus hiring maybe the best person for the job, right? So I think that's something that I'm particularly passionate about, because I do this with my parents and try to help them organize their businesses better. But yeah, family businesses, professionalizing is the most critical thing to be investable. Because you're already a family, you can tell the story, you know what's up, you have the history, everything. It's just that professionalism usually is missing.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Nedu. And for the person that asked that question, Justina, one of our next, if not, in the next 2-3 sessions, we should actually discuss family businesses and how they can thrive. It hurts me in our climb that we don't have many success stories of family businesses thriving, and we need some lessons in that regard. Oluwa Buola has a question. If you can kindly unmute and ask your question, please.
Real quick, we're running out of time.
Thank you very much. God bless you. It's been an honor to always be part of this wonderful meeting. My question is to Tewa. I'm a spiritual counselor, and I also do Yoruba online and on-site. But my passion, really, the main thing that I can do, even when I close my eyes or do anything, is about counseling. And this is one thing I do with all joy. But the thing here is this. A lot of people have mentioned it to me that, why is it that you don't charge people? Why is it that they just come and take from you and they go? And they'll be fine, they'll be all right. And you still be trying to fix things and fix that. But whenever I pick a call that had to do with counseling, no matter what I'm doing, that thing will pause at that time. There will be this hunger, and then there'll be this tearing inside of me to quickly pick it and quickly connect to the Holy Spirit. What shall I do? There's this passion, there's this compassion to make sure that family are well orientated, because I came from that broken path. And I got to realize from my inside that if family is not together, then we can't have the world that we're crying for, because it starts from there. But for a person like me, that loves to give, that loves to just pour myself out there, and I've let the job that always give me the salary every month. The reason why I said I'm directing this to Tewa is because I could see the passion in what she's doing. And that is something that is not really giving you the salary that every normal person expects when they go to their offices and they do with joy. But my own aspect, I realized that doing this is what gives me so much joy more than the money. And also taking care of children. Let me quickly give this small scenario. I was taking my kids.
Can we wrap it up, please?
Yes, I'm wrapping it up right now.
Quick.
And I saw a child eating at the bin. And that hunger took me and my kids in the car, said, if this child can be eating at the bin, let's give this child our food. That was what made me to start going out to give children food. And when you do things and you are not charging people money, it's like you are a fool, you don't know what you're doing. So what is my own category? Where do I belong? That's what my question really is.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that question. And thank you, Chinedu, your presentation was very insightful. So first of all, I would say to you, Oluwabukola, that your gifts are supposed to make way for you. So in as much as you're very passionate about what you're doing, you can do it, you know, what I do, a lot of people who are passionate about what they do, they can do it without getting paid. One way or the other, it's supposed to still make way for you. It's supposed to bless you. It's supposed to enrich you. So the money will come. Continue doing what you're doing, be persistent and be confident enough to charge what you are worth, because you are delivering value and you are the value. So understand that fact, that you are delivering value and you are the value, because nobody can do what you're doing like you do. So build that confidence to go out there and charge what you're worth. You can start from a little bit, and then as you build your confidence, you'll be able to charge even more. If this is what you're passionate about, if this is what you love doing, if this is what you wake up and nobody, you don't have to read any script or anything to do, it's what you're meant to be doing, and it's meant to make way for you. So be persistent, be consistent as well, and the money will definitely follow. I mean, we can have this conversation offline. You can send the email to the Live Intentional, to the Intentionality Series, and we can take it further from there. But because of time, I would say to you that, continue in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire, and the money will come. But you have to build that confidence and change your mindset around, not charging people, because your gifts are meant to make way for you.
Thank you so much, Tewa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Before I take my take in all of today's discussions, we have a participant who really should have been a speaker. And please, for everybody, participants that are joining, don't go away. We're out of here in another 10, 15 minutes. But I'd like us to also listen to Stephanie Kadiri for 2 minutes. And then I take my take.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much, Mary, for inviting me. I'm in transit. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Madam Tawa. Thank you so much, Mr. Chindu, for sharing your experience, for inspiring with your stories. I have a similar story. Mine, though, was 5 years ago. It was actually 5 years, January 13th this year, when I was asked to leave a job that I had only just started 4 months in. And the reason that was significantly hurtful, painful, would I say, was because I had hit that climax of my career when I just felt from here to the C-suite, right? And I was sitting over 2 countries. I was regional HR for 2 countries. And the interesting thing was I had my regional HR who sat in Europe come over and give me the best feedback for work done that I had received, that I had ever received in 13 years of work. And fast forward 4 days from that, I was asked to leave for reasons being, because when they said, the management has decided to terminate your appointment with immediate effect. And I said, what management? I'm a management team. So at what point did the management take that decision? What did I do? And they brought out a letter for me to sign. And I insisted with them for about 45 minutes. I said, I'm not going to sign this letter until I know exactly what I did wrong and why I'm being asked to leave. I mean, I had worked somewhere for 7 years, 7 years, 3 months, and 1 day. And when I tendered my resignation, my MD said, no, you can't just leave like that. We would promote you. But when I showed him the offer, I was like, okay, you're earning in dollars, you're earning in this, that's just fantastic. Okay, you have invested a lot in your career and I'll let you go. But then being in this space now, being asked to leave 4 months, and when I insisted for them to tell me why exactly I let go, they said it's just that you don't fit into our way. And I asked, what is your way that you didn't tell me in 4 months, that you have to snatch the carpet from underneath my feet? And they didn't respond. And after about 45 minutes of negotiating, so one of the things that the feedback she had given me when she was telling me about the job I had done thus far was, oh, you're such a fantastic negotiator. I said, we negotiate with so easy things and management, some management staff can't achieve. So when she said, we're terminating your appointment, at the back of my mind, I was like, she said I'm going to negotiate. I'm going to negotiate my way out of it, because no, it wasn't going to happen. But eventually, when that feedback came of, you don't fit into our way, I figured I had lost this one. I can't negotiate my way out of this one. So when I left there, when I came down, so the painful part of it, someone that thought, okay, you've been working for about 13 years at the time, didn't you have savings? So the downside of that was, I had, where I was working before, which is a delusion that many 9-to-5ers get themselves into, was the fact that I was running some loans. I was running a car loan. I was running some whatever loans, right? And the company gives you time to pay. So I had about 18 months to pay. But I did have savings. I had my mutual funds. I had my personal car. But when I was moving to this organization, I told myself, I don't want to put new wine into old wine skin. The money here is good. I have allowances. And I'd already planned that year I was going to do my PhD and all of that. So I liquidated my mutual funds. I sold my personal car. I cleared up my savings and I paid off the company. Got into January to start on with a fresh bank account so that I get fresh money. And on 13th of that month, I was asked to leave. So I hit the ground, my back hit the ground. I doubted everything I'd ever believed in. I doubted everything I'd ever stood for.
Yes, definitely. So in 30 seconds, how did you
bounce back? So bouncing back for me was, so I told myself suicide was not an option. What do I have? I just told myself suicide was not an option. I was like, okay, if I kill myself, I'm submitting to this thing. And that is why I drew out the mantra was never give up until you win. And even if you don't win, ensure that you finish strong. So I said, how can I finish strong with this? Okay, if this didn't work, what do I have? How do I start? So I got out a pen and I got out the paper and started writing, what are my strengths? What can I do? Okay, I can speak, I can teach French, I can do this. And I wrote all of them out. Okay, based on these things that I can do, which can I quickly monetize? And that was pretty much how it started. And I put out an advert.
Thank
I got
you
someone
so
to buy
much,
something from me
Stephanie.
for 50K. And that is how we took it up from there. And it's been 5 years of progress.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for sharing.
Stephanie, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So if there's anyone on the call who has lost their job or, lost something, just know that it is not the end of the road. You have to be able to look inside of you and draw out the next line of life, so to speak. So my take, everybody wants to be successful, but what's the but? Are we ready to go through the journey that leads to success, especially when you have gone onto the very low, I call it the valley, okay, the very low valley of your life? Today we talk about Oprah, world renowned. Please, who doesn't know Oprah Winfrey here? By a raise of hand. I doubt if there's anybody, including even the little ones around you. But years ago, when Oprah was probably in her, from her little baby until she got her first break into television, would you have wanted to be Oprah Winfrey? The answer is no. You wouldn't have. Okay. Now, today, we don't even remember that, except she talks about it just to inspire other people not to give up. We don't even remember that. We remember the Oprah of today. We don't remember the one that was abandoned by her mom, raped by her stepfather, tens of media houses shut doors against her. You are too dark, you are too this, you are too that, and all of that. But she did not give up. She was resilient. She just kept going. For some of us who are on the verge of giving up or have given up, trust me, half of what she went through, you haven't even yet seen it. We know about Cosmas Maduka in our own environment. And if you don't, that is the chair, founder, everything of the Coscharis group. He happily tells his story. So this is not being made up. He tells his story himself, okay? You can go read it up. He didn't give up. Steve Harvey today that we hear about lived off his car, his friends' couches, borrowed money to attend stand-up comedy shows. Steve Harvey is easily one of the most sought after people out there around the world. Who hasn't heard of the series by J.K. Rowling's? Single mom living off government benevolence, rejected by dozens of publishing homes. Today, Harry Potter is a household name. In concluding, can you find purpose in your pain? Most of the people that we know today to be successful had their aha moment in their place of pain, all right? In their place of pain. And when that aha moment came, or when yours does come, if it hasn't yet already, how do you harness it? Because I've also realized that when that moment comes and you don't really latch onto it or write it down or whatever it is, it is it would, as blurry as it came, most times as blurry as it leaves. Write your vision, be persistent, be persistent, be persistent, and keep showing up. Focus on relationships that aid your journey. We cannot say that enough. In the journey of living intentionally, you have to focus on the relationships that aid that journey. Anyone that doesn't, then there is no point. You need to find a way to shut it down. I know we have, 4 minutes to go, but when I was, as most people know, or everybody knows, banking has been my thing. And for many years as a banker in marketing, I was always so downcast. Most times, how do I meet the next target? How do I get these customers to believe what I'm doing, what we're doing, what we're selling as an institution? How do we drive in more customers and profitability? When I'm in that space, and please find what works for you. When I'm in that space, I go to a particular song by Mary Akpobome, for which I'm going to play for you just the first 2 lines. You go look it up. And it is titled Hero. How many of us know this song?
There's an answer if you reach into your sorrow, and the sorrow that you know will melt away. And when a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when it feels like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong. And you finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you. That hero that you are seeking for lies in you. So my charge to you is find your song, find your poem, find what works for you. That almost made me cry when I remember those days. But when I'm done with this song in the night, in the morning, I'm ready to go. My charge to you is therefore to encourage everyone here to share their stories intentionally. You may not have a platform, but you belong to a community. Someone is struggling with your past struggles. Extend an arm of upliftment today. I'll read that again. I encourage everyone here to share their stories intentionally. You may not have a platform, but you belong to a community. You can write it, you can say it, you can gather people. There are platforms. There are now free platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and all of that. Someone is struggling with your past struggles. Someone is struggling with your past struggles. Extend an arm of upliftment today. And if you are the one
that is struggling. There is a hero. It lies within you. Draw into it. That strength that you need, draw into it. It is inside of you. As long as you are living the purpose for which you have been sent on this earth. And all of us are different. See, 7-point-something billion people on the face of the earth, and none has the same thumbprint. Trust me, your journey isn't my journey. Mine isn't yours. Face your front while you are drinking water. That's the one that I'm hearing now, and I'm absolutely loving it. And live your purpose. If you are living your purpose, your answer is here, because the one that gave you that purpose, that vision, all of that, has laid it inside of you, what you need to be able to be successful at what you do. We're not trying to be anybody but ourselves, the best versions of ourselves every day. So don't keep your story to yourself. Please encourage somebody around you, encourage your community. And it is on that I, Mary Akpobome, do sign out. And I look forward to hearing from you. You received emails and all of that. Please send, speak to us again through any channel that you want to speak to us. If there are people that you need us to also connect you with, by all means, share this far and wide. Again, you never know who needs to hear what we're discussing today, just to take them out of the valley that they are in. Thank you so much for spending your Saturday morning with me. Thank you. Much love. Thanks.
Can we all unmute our mics for a second and give Mrs. Akpobome some love and thank her for this beautiful initiative?
Thank you so much for having me.
So much.
Thank
Thank
you
you, Mama
so
Mary.
much.
God bless you.
Thank you. We love you.
Leading by
Thank
example.
you.
Thank you, Mary B.
Let's
Much
say
love.
thank,
Love
say
you.
thank you,
Thank
Mary.
you,
This is Raymond.
everyone.
Thank
This
you,
is
Mama
Raymond.
Mary. Thank you so much.
Thank
Love
you.
you. Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank
All right.
you,
Take
So
care.
enjoy the rest
Well
of
done,
the
Justina.
Thank you. Okay.
Justina. Well done.
So
Thank you,
thank you,
everyone. Enjoy the rest of your
thank
Saturday.
you
All right.
everyone that has supported
God
me on
bless
this journey.
you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Justina. Thank you, thank you, thank
Mary,
you.
Mary, I salute from far, Mary. This is Raymond.
Thank you, Raymond. Oh, thank you so much.
How you
Thank
doing?
I'm fine,
Pleasure.
thank you.
Nice
Thank
one.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. It would be nice to receive the presentation by email or the recordings. That will help us well. Thank you, Ma. We appreciate you.
We will send it. We will send the recordings and anything, all the materials by email to everyone that signed.
Thank you, pretty Mommy Mary. We love you.
God bless you all.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Everything you put your hand go walk. Your name go open doors. You said go be a boss. Amen. Amen. Everything you put your hand go walk. Your name go open doors. You said go be a boss. Amen. Amen. Every hustler getting paid. Where the hustle go come to pay.
Justin, the song until everyone finds out.
If you don't find work to your own, God said go do it all. And flesh go cover bone. Amen. Amen. If you believe it, say amen. If you believe it, say amen. If you believe it, say amen. 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 Everything you put your hand go on. Your name go open doors. You self go be a boss. Amen. Amen. Everything you put your hand go on. Your name go open doors. You self go be a boss. Amen. Amen. Sister, where one man sees, until where they fight me. What do you don't choose? Amen. You're not where don't lose it. Landlord come to do God. One day you go be landlord. Amen. Good news go locate you. What you see enough of it. If you believe it, say amen. No. Amen. Everything you put your hand go up. You name go open doors. You self go be a boss. Amen. Amen. Everything you put your hand go up. You name go open doors. Long life go follow you. Strangers go favor you. Great men go honor you. Amen. Amen. One day you go sign the check. Oh. You self go drive that pencil. This life go still make sense. Oh. Amen. Your children go make you proud. Oh. Bad people no go pull you down. Oh. One day you go run this town. Oh. Amen. Amen. You self go spray me money. Baby go call you honey. You self go host the party. Amen. God go to go be your friend. I told the Lord go be your friend. I told the God go be your guy. Amen. Amen. Elu go be your guy. And Samad go be my guy.